In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can reset the Turo algorithm so that you can get more bookings with your Turo fleet. Let's get started. Now, before we dive into that, I do want to remind you guys that I have my course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, which teaches you everything that you need to know about starting and scaling a car sharing fleet with the exact same business model that I use. We teach you everything that you need to know, from how to buy cars, how to find the best deals on vehicles, and how to navigate depreciation. We teach you how to communicate with guests and automate your fleet to make it semi-passive. And of course, we also address damage claims and total losses, and how you can actually profit off of these instances whenever they occur. The best part is that whenever you sign up for the course, you get unlimited access to all updates that we make in the future. No matter how big or small, you will never be charged a second time, which is perfect because this year we have a third iteration of the course coming out, where we'll be introducing an entire new section on direct rentals, and as a course member, you will gain access to it. If you guys are interested in checking out the course, you can do so by clicking the link down in the description below, and you can use the code OFFER100 to get $100 off. Now, what the Turo algorithm does is it helps get your cars to the top of the Turo list. That way, when someone is looking for a car, your car pops up. There are a lot of different ways that can help get you to the top of Turo search results. Things like having a lot of trips, an older Turo profile, being a power host or all-star host. All of these things will help get you to the top of Turo's search results. But all of these strategies take time. And if you're noticing today that you have a bit of a slump in bookings, well, then getting all-star host won't really help you, at least not quick enough. The first tip that I have is to snooze and unsnooze your vehicle. This is sort of an old wives' tale in the Turo world, but if you see that you have cars that are sitting for a bit too long, you should go into each one of your cars and simply snooze and then unsnooze them. Typically what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll snooze them for like a minute and then I'll unsnooze it right away. The belief system here is that by snoozing and unsnoozing your vehicle, it sort of tricks the Turo algorithm and boosting your car back to the top of search results. And while I don't know if this is exactly true or not true, but what I can say is that the number of times that I have snoozed and then unsnoozed a car and then within an hour the car gets booked, it has happened literally hundreds of times. So while I don't know if this is 100% true, this is certainly something that I 100% believe in. The next strategy is to simply just adjust your price. Adjusting your vehicle daily rates is a confirmed method to boost your cars in the Turo algorithm. So if you see that your cars are sitting for a bit too long, simply adjust your price. Now, there are sort of two levels to this. The first is the type of price lowering that is just done by $1 or $2. This is to help boost the algorithm. Now, I have heard that in order to get a boost in the algorithm by lowering your prices, you need to adjust your price by at least 10%. I don't really know if this is 100% true, but it is something to note. But for me, whenever I notice that a car is sitting, I'll go in, I'll adjust the prices by $1, $2, $3, depending on the car, and oftentimes these cars will get booked within the next couple of hours. However, there are times whenever you may have a car that doesn't just need a minor price adjustment, and that car is just simply overpriced. With Turo's automatic dynamic pricing, sometimes they miss the mark, and they either make their cars far too cheap or far too expensive. With my fleet, which is made up of about 60% older economical cars, and 40% newer economical cars or just newer cars, I find that sometimes Turo prices my older economical ones, like my 2012, 2011, 2010 model cars, at a similar price point as my much newer vehicles. They are priced very, very high, sometimes $50 to $60 per day, depending on the car. Sometimes during busy seasons, these older cars actually do get booked out at this price point, which is amazing. But if I don't stay on top of pricing, sometimes I'll notice on like a random Monday that we have a few too many cars sitting down at the lot, and then whenever I look at my pricing, I find out that my 2010 Toyota Yaris is priced at $59 per day, at which case I will drop the prices down a lot. Adjusting prices is a great way to boost your algorithm and to get you more bookings. Similar to snoozing, I can't count the number of times I've adjusted pricing by a bit and then get a booking. But sometimes you will find that your price isn't so much of an algorithm issue, it is just a pricing issue, at which point you should do some market research, you should figure out where your car should actually be priced, and you should adjust it manually. Don't rely on Turo's dynamic pricing 100%, because if you do that, you will find that your cars will go through periods of time where they don't have any bookings. One more thing that I want to mention on the topic of pricing before we move on is what to do during a very slow season. Think of times like right after major holidays, maybe in August whenever kids are going back to school and people aren't traveling as much. During these periods of time, you may notice a major lull in bookings. And you may think to yourself, man, I would rather have my car sit than lower my car to the price point in which it needs to be at in order to get it booked out. Maybe you have a really nice car and you're seeing that similar cars are renting for 30% less than they normally would, and you would rather have your car sit than rent out for that price point. which is totally fair and totally valid depending on the car. For example, we do this occasionally with our Lincoln Navigator. Sometimes we just let it sit rather than having to bring the price down to $70 per day or something. But on the flip side, I am a big believer with Turo that traction or the snowball effect is a very real thing. To quote Isaac Newton, objects in motion stay in motion unless acted upon by an external force. And while that's probably not an applicable comparison, I'm going to use it anyway. I am a big believer that if you allow for your Turo car to sit for too long, it's going to have a harder time getting bookings, even if it's priced competitively and even if it's a good car. I have seen time and time again, not only with my cars, with other host cars, but even like my cars compared to one another, that cars that are consistently getting booked out get future bookings a lot easier than cars that are sitting for a long period of time. With this in mind, my strategy whenever it comes to pricing is that if I see that a car is sitting for more than like a couple of days, if it's sitting for too long, I will lower that car to literally whatever price it needs to be at in order for it to get booked out. I'll have it get its next booking and then I will raise its price right after. And what I have found here is that this car will then have an easier time getting its next booking and its next one and its next one. I have a really good applicable for instance of this. Back in November, I took over my dad's Lincoln MKC and I'm renting it out for him. Long story short, he needed a brand new engine. He didn't want to pay for it, so he's actually putting it on Turo to try to recoup the cost of that engine. And this is a car that I typically would not list on Turo because it's just not really in my niche. But whenever we first got this car, it was struggling to get booked. It was constantly sitting. It was sitting for days or in some cases a week at a time. And I felt like every single time it was getting rented out, it was like pulling teeth. But then maybe about 5 or 6 weeks ago, it started going out on more and more rentals. The periods of time between rentals started getting shorter and shorter. And over the last few weeks, it has been on basically back-to-back rentals nonstop. Because again, I am a firm believer that the snowball effect is real. Sure, the first few bookings with this MKC, and even for the first few weeks, we had a constantly lower pricing, but now that the snowball effect is in effect, we don't have to lower pricing and the car is still getting booked out. Next is changing your settings, adjusting your advance notice, trip buffer time, or minimum trip length, even if it's just temporary to get a boost. I am a big proponent of flexible scheduling with Turo, and I personally have 1 hour advance notice, 3-hour trip buffer time, and any trip length for the majority of my cars. The amount of one-day trips that then go on to turn into 1 week or even 1 month trips are insane. But even if you don't want to cater to those different options long-term, doing it short-term can be a great way to get a boost in bookings. On the topic of settings, offering delivery can also be an excellent way to boost your bookings as well, but there is a strategy to this. First is to ask yourself, do you actually want to do deliveries? If no, then this is what I recommend. Adjust your delivery settings to be open. This way you're boosted by the algorithm for offering delivery, but make the settings tight enough to where you don't get a lot of deliveries, and if you do, they're far in advance so you can plan for it efficiently. Last year, we did this with our Lincoln Navigator, and the difference we saw in bookings was huge. We really didn't do deliveries often. We got a lot more bookings from our home location, but we did notice an increase in bookings across the board once delivery became an option that we offered. Now that we have a full-time employee, we do offer delivery more than we used to, and we offer it on 3 cars, our Lincoln MKC, Navigator, and Honda Odyssey, and we have a lot more flexible scheduling than we used to for delivery. But whether you want to offer a lot of deliveries or very little, offering delivery at least will do a great job of boosting your car in the Turo algorithm. And if you find that no matter what you do, you just aren't getting the bookings that you want, I do encourage you to play around with this setting. But candidly, I do always caution people from leaning too far into delivery, because while you can absolutely make it work and it can be extremely lucrative if you are close to the airport, I also think that it can be a pretty big time suck if you're not careful. I'm 40 minutes from both airports I deliver to, so when we deliver them, you're talking nearly 6 hours of labor between the 2 people who have to go there and back and then there and back to pick up the car. And I do think that there is a point of diminishing returns if you offer delivery on the wrong cars and too often. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.